Welcome to Self Perfected.
Thing in someone's face.
You guys, we're like 20 minutes too early today.
What's going on here?
You're right.
I haven't even prepared.
I just figured you guys were already talking. We usually talk or start in the middle of a conversation anyway. So hey, welcome. You guys should know what this is by now. It's the Self Perfected podcast.
Yeah, especially if it's your first time watching.
Yeah. You should definitely just already anticipate everything we're going to talk about.
That's right. So
and then tune yourself out.
Tune yourself out. Tune back in later, and
we'll put my headphones on. Some good stuff. Charged.
That sounds good. Everybody, just take a look at Cameron's face. Cameron, could you turn to the side again? Just a little bit. Just turn your face to the side like you're looking for your headphones. Can you even hear me? You can't even hear me. You put on these headphones, you can't even hear me. You see this?
Those aren't headphones. They're ear muffs.
You can hear me now. Okay, turn your head to the side like you were looking for your headphones. Look at that shape up. Look at that line for his beard. How it goes perfectly into his hairline. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Who cut your hair?
You guys, Drake turned gay since we last saw him.
I've the whole time. It's been the whole time.
Not someone you know.
Is this someone in Jefferson?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude,
I didn't even
the $5 haircut store
in Jefferson.
No, it's not the $5 cowboy haircuts. No, it's someone I've used a couple times now.
Wow. Is he Mexican?
Do you say he?
Oh, wow. It was a woman that
no. They're getting real advanced in Jefferson.
What
one of those? Yeah.
What is a woman? Is that what you're asking?
You know, if anybody's like, oh, Cameron, you guys, you're so paranoid about the metaverse and you act like people are just going to get lost in it. I'm like, culturally, we are actually entertaining the what is a woman debate.
Dude.
Like people are unsure. No, I don't mean unsure. It's like they're debating it. Like, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? Like, can you define it? You think you're not going to fucking lost in a digital realm where all your fantasies can come true?
Dude, I was talking yesterday to some people at the clubhouse, and I was just saying, like, you know what's interesting is everyone, okay, you know how we sometimes sometimes all the time hate on spiritual people? Just because they're like, not all spiritual.
They're attracting it.
Yeah, exactly. They're attracting our hate. So if you're spiritual and you're upset about this, you attracted this. You need to hear it. So listen up. No, but I was talking about, you guys remember Joel Bauer, right? Your business card is crap guy. Oh, dude, Mitch, you would love this.
I keep hearing about this guy. I actually love him.
No, you would love this part. You would love this part.
Okay.
He was on MTV on Big and Rob and Big. How'd it go? You know who I'm talking about?
I know
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He was on that show, and he was like, "Your business card is crap." And then he had all these business cards. This is what got him kind of famous.
I didn't know that was from an MTV show. I thought it was just some training clip or something on YouTube.
I think originally it was on maybe some news show or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then he Rob saw him and brought him onto MTV, okay. Right? He had a whole bunch of business cards, and he's just like, lame, can't read this one. Don't know what this says. Nobody cares that you're a real estate agent. He was just tossing out all these business cards, and he's like, this business card, and it's a cutout of his face. When you open it up, it's a business card that you open up like a little pop-up book, and something up. It was hilarious. Anyway, he used to do these seminars. And this was when he was also a part of Gin at the same time. This was hilarious, right? He used to do these seminars, and he would click his the clicker for the screen, whatever. And on the screen would be money falling, right? Just money falling from the sky and everything. And that was the entire screen, right? And then he'd stand there and he'd wear this suit, right? That was just a little bit too baggy for him, but he'd wear this suit. And he'd have his arms wide open. And he goes, some of you think that you're just going to stand here with your ass wide open and money's just going to fall right out. It is the most hilarious thing. Because he was talking about all the people that the spiritual law of attraction type people that they seriously believe that they don't have to do anything, and money's just gonna just magically appear, right? But there was a point that I was making with that. We were talking about how it's as if so many people believe that their actions don't affect somebody else, that they live in their own individual world, right?
But they believe everybody else's actions affect them.
Yeah. But check it out. In very near future, if we keep going down this path, that will sort of be the case for them, because they're going to live.
Oh, like their actions will be like totally irrelevant.
It will be irrelevant because you'll just be in a metaverse, in a virtual reality, whether it's like literally in the Matrix where you're in a pod, or if it's just like you're just wearing this thing, but your actions won't affect anyone because they can just have their own virtual reality or whatever. You don't even know who you're interacting with, if it's a real person or not, and that's where we're heading. And so this idea that, oh, we're being paranoid about it, actually look at what's happening. You guys want to talk about that Mark Zuckerberg thing? Because I did not actually. There's a lot of things that Mark Zuckerberg is doing right now all at the same time. Plus, there was that conversation that you had sent, Cam, of those three guys. I don't know who any of those guys were, but they were talking about how there was all this hype about AI, and then it sort of died down a little bit. And then they're saying how it's likely to come back now because a lot of students are using it and things like that. And they were talking about all the implications of.
Well, they were just talking about the user base of ChatGPT specifically.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
It's so funny because when you can comprehend what Zuckerberg is saying, it's like you see how most people miss it. But for example, one, he was doing some keynote. I don't know if it was at the headquarters of Meta or whatever, but the one where he's outside. Mm-hmm. And then he just like so casually drop in the fact that he's like, yeah, there will be like group meetings that you could be having with your team, and you got, like you got your engineers, but then you also got like the AI engineer bot. And now like he could be in the metaverse meeting with you. And it's like
he'll be embodied in a
mm-hmm.
virtual reality body.
Yeah. And like, I'm guessing most people are not even putting two and two together of like, it's literally the end of that engineer's job.
It's interesting because the belief in God as the ultimate creator of reality, it's a program that allows people to just sit by while people actually create reality around you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same mentality that allows a slave owner to run a plantation of slaves, and the slaves just show up for work. It's the same.
All right, it's accepting hierarchy of authority.
I mean, there's so many points I have a bunch of like video clips and stuff pulled up that I just wanted to show some things, and we can like talk about it. You want to start with the Mark Zuckerberg? I'm trying to think of what's to start with. Okay, so I've got, here's our rundown. I got the Tesla bot. I've got, I pulled up a little quick clip of Ameca, the robot that has like facial features and stuff. I got the Mark Zuckerberg thing. Then I've got the DALL-E 3 announcement. I don't need this Unreal Engine thing, but that's pretty interesting too. And then I have some.
Cameron's just playing video games in the background.
I have some Midjourney stuff.
Cameron's playing Grand Theft Auto.
Let's start with the Mark Zuckerberg stuff, because Mark Zuckerberg had like the Meta AI plus the metaverse stuff.
Yeah.
And
I'll just show a quick clip of the interview.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about the other stuff, because the other stuff was just explained.
That sounds good.
But then I also have the DALL-E thing, which is kind of related in a way to all that.
Yeah.
It's like, this is arguably like the most important. I mean, definitely one of the most important things we're ever facing as humanity. It's like rolling out in front of our eyes, which is cool, because it's like, this is everything we've been training for and preparing for. And I'm grateful I've been doing this process for years now, so I can actually comprehend it and then like be able to help people around me understand it. But it's like, this shit's so important.
It's crazy. It would be like, imagine, what a gun is, right? And like you're back in the 1400s or whatever, and you know what a gun is, and then you're sitting on the shores with like all your native friends in the Americas, and you're like, guys, there are guns coming, and they're like, I have no context for any of this stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter to me. You're like,
You mean
will
Fire
be-
Stick?
Yeah, you will be killed. They're like, yeah, whatever. Like, I think you're just being
No,
paranoid.
I'm just gonna do a rain dance, guys. I
Yeah.
won't attract it.
Okay, so you know what's funny? Owen is up here, right? And he was showing us this rain dance. Actually, it wasn't a rain dance. It was a drum dance. It was a drum dance. But it was really interesting because I was like, oh, and I can do this dance.
Is he preparing for the Texas event?
He is actually.
That would be
I
cool,
also-
actually, if we did like a whole. Oh, I don't want to spill it. Man.
Yeah. We'll leave that as a mystery, but I did like the theme this year.
Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, so for everybody, about full screen. I'll take the subtitles off. All right, are you ready?
Do you have a boyfriend?
Hold on.
Do you have a boyfriend?
It's playing the clip that I wanted to.
I'm asking for me.
It's playing like this other clip on there. All right, here we go.
Hello, Amika.
Let me just.
Why is that one so cool?
Amica really wants to play.
I don't know why it's keep doing. It's. Let me just play this one real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Amica's trying to.
I'll get it over with.
I don't believe in anything.
What's your name?
My name is Annika. What is your name?
Michael. How
Michael.
Can you look at me?
Of course. Hello.
What color is my jacket?
Your jacket looks black.
Oh, wow. What color is my hair?
I cannot tell you exactly, but I would guess brown.
It's like shrugging her shoulders.
Yes.
Thank you.
Am I wearing a watch?
Yes. My cameras detect a watch.
Wow. What color
Let me show you also.
Imagine, I was just thinking of those soft white underbelly interviews, like in the future. There's like all the dejected robots. He's like interviewing them.
There was another video. I don't
I
have
was
it
a
pulled up
chef
here.
in the president's home. What happened to you? He put me on his lake and strapped me to a paddleboard.
Okay, check this out.
Is there sound?
This is so great. Lighting change? Wow.
Yeah, we can put the light anywhere.
And it doesn't feel awkward to be really close to you.
No, it does. I moved you back a few feet before you got into
Well-
the headset. You were like right here.
I don't know if people can see this, but this is incredible. The realism here is just incredible. Where am I? Where are you, Mark? Where are we?
You're in Austin, right?
No, I mean this place. We're shrouded by darkness with ultra realistic face, and it just feels like we're in the same room. This is really the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And sorry to be in your personal space.
I mean,
We have done jiu-jitsu before.
yeah, no, I was commenting to the team before that even I feel like we've choked each other from further distances than it feels like we are right now.
I mean, this is just really incredible. I don't know how to describe it with words. It really feels like we're in the same room.
Yeah.
It feels like the future.
All right. So, what are y'all's thoughts? I mean, I know you're already aware of it because I sent you this video, but that was just released like what 2 days ago or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
What are y'all's? What's your like initial reaction to it?
I think they're having what they call a bromance.
But
So-
especially if you were in the shoes of somebody who like didn't understand all this stuff. For
Yeah,
context, for context, like what they did without having to watch the whole thing is they have this thing called like a Kodak photorealistic scan or something where they scan your body, your face, everything, and then you do facial expressions and it maps all that. So it's not a video. It's like data that is being sent from your sensors of your virtual reality headset, which can see everything in the room and your hands, your body, your facial features, everything, those headsets. And it sends that to the other person's headset, like, through the internet. And then it reconstructs an image or it creates an image from a photorealistic, like basically three-dimensional picture using AI to animate the picture based on what you're doing and like their facial features and everything. And the guy, I mean, in there, he was saying like when you smile, like the crinkles in your eyes, you can see all that. It's like, it looks real. Like if you just played that really quick and you didn't look too closely, because there's a part where he moves and you can see like the shadow kind of, they'll fix that stuff. But I mean, already at this level, I'm like, dude, it's like with the Chat GPT. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was possible now.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That was interesting because like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, his facial expressions were not very expressive. So, I guess he's just like that all the time.
He's always like that. Yeah.
Well, they joked about that. Yeah. Like that's there too kind of.
It's like you give a bunch of dumb people fire. That's what it reminds me of, because it's like this right here has so much potential and it could be used for cool things, but without the baseline education and vocabulary of the average person watching this who can see like the consequences of this, it's pretty wild.
Another thing he said in there was that when they did their internal studies, people didn't have a problem psychologically with having a photorealistic person next to like a person with like some kind of crazy cartoon avatar, like, or with a cartoon environment, or, you know, things that like mixed, where it's like fantasy and reality all mixed together.
Yeah.
Right. And they talked about, I'm just thinking about highlights of points they talked about. They went into the point of, you kind of mentioned this earlier, but like being in a meeting where you have what they want to do is get the headsets down to glasses. And then you'll be in a meeting, let's say, and you'll be physically there. You'll have your glasses, and there will be other people who are physically there. There will also be people that you can see as if they're in the room, but they aren't physically there because they're, you know, wearing the glasses somewhere else. And then there will also be people that you can physically see that aren't even real at all, because that will be like Mitch said, your engineer bot or AI Bob or whatever, who's like the company AI engineer who like has the AI perspective on everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I was just looking at this, like, cause they talked about the point of, you know, cause Lex Freeman was really going to the emotional side of like how incredible the experience was of being in a virtual reality with somebody where they look real and it feels like they're there. Cause they said the thing that's hard to see on the picture when you're watching it is the actual immersive experience when you're in it. It doesn't really translate. And this is the best one I've seen in terms of the photorealism. It's like, because I could see it, like, oh, wow, I can see what this is like. But imagine actually you're in the room, you're in a room and the person's right there and you can see them there. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You can hear them. And he's like, you know, this would be interesting for people who, you know, like you can't be with them physically, but also people who are deceased. So imagine having an AI that can replicate a person who's dead, like, you know, someone from your family. And then it got me thinking about, you know, 2 points. One, imagine you're talking to somebody in a virtual reality setting. How do you know they're even real?
Yeah.
They could say they're not an AI, but how do you know if they're not?
Right.
Two, how do you know it? Okay, let's just say it's a person you don't know. How do you know they're real? Let's say it's a person you do know. How do you know it's actually them?
Yeah.
It could be their AI clone that they made so that they can talk to 50 people at once, or it could be a illegal version of that person that's not real at all. And we've already seen like the voice cloning stuff where it's like you just get a voice call. Now imagine it's a picture. Imagine it's a Zoom call. You think it's a Zoom call, but it's literally a virtual reality point. But now imagine you're in the virtual reality with the person, so it's even more realistic. But then I was thinking too, imagine this scenario. This would be a cool premise for a book, where the husband and the wife, like, let's say, okay, imagine you're not basing your relationship on principles. It's just based on feelings. And why do most people get divorced? Because the energy isn't there anymore, right? Whatever that particular energy is, right? It doesn't feel the same, right? Like I get it. There's this point where the mind is trying to survive. It needs more energy. So it has to switch things up. And then it's like, you're questioning everything. And you're like, why am I doing in this environment? Like, kind of reminds me, it's funny. Seneca was listening to that song, once in a lifetime. And there's this opening line where he's like, you may find yourself in a shotgun shack. You may find yourself, in a beautiful home with a beautiful wife. You may ask yourself, how did I get here? Right. So imagine that's like the midlife crisis. I don't know what the song is actually about, but it's like that. The person's kind of like, how did I get here? Like, what the fuck? I have kids. I have responsibilities. Like, I want to, it's like, that's why the guy goes out and buys the sports car, or because they're like, wow, I'm not 20 years old anymore, and it's like, so imagine it's like a man and a woman, they're in a relationship, and it's like the man still is in love with the memory of the wife, but the wife is older now. They're comfortable. Like, it's not the same point. So now he can go back in time. Okay. You ever use Google Sheets and you're like, oh, fuck, these changes I made, or I made a mistake. Let me go back to my version history, or there was information that I lost. You go back to your version history and you reset it, or you just look at that one.
Yeah.
So imagine you go back to a different version history of your wife's AI, where then you're just in virtual reality interacting with her the whole time.
Yeah.
Or you have these augmented reality glasses where it's mixed reality. So when you see your wife, you see like the 20-year-old version.
Yep.
And when she says certain things, it makes it say it a different way, the way she would say it.
Yep.
This is like what I'm thinking as I'm watching this. I'm like, this is where it's going to go. How do I know? Because I've read all the fucking science fiction books.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, looking at this,
it's not that hard to infer either.
It's really not.
But this is why it's like that. It reminds me of the John Vervaeke meaning crisis stuff, because he was saying we basically are going to need a new model for understanding philosophy, religion, spirituality, all of this, because it's all coming into question. And
we
it
have the
so
model.
Perfectly fits to it. It's so
we have the fucking model.
I know. It's so
it's like it already incorporates all of this.
Right. And it's like it brings back the gravity of what actually matters. Is literally fucking physical matter. And so that's what is so important, is like we have without making it like too serious, but it's like there is a certain level of priority of what is important. There's like the real fucking physical world and the fact that we have physical needs, and that like we got to make sure that this reality continues to go in a direction that's best for everyone.
Imagine people don't even care about taking care of their bodies anymore, because they can go into the metaverse and be whatever version they want and tweak it and make it look better. Or so
right.
The problem is not, because Mark Zuckerberg made this point in that interview. He was like, yes, the physical is important, but the people think that the physical is the real world and like the digital is not real. He said, but it is real. And he's right in the sense that the information is real. It's really there. It's really stored on a computer, and it really does have an effect. The difference, though, of why it's not actually real is because if the server is destroyed, it's gone.
Right.
The only thing that remains is the effects that it had. The things that you physically did and manifested, or the consequences that were created because of the information. That's the reality of it, not the actual picture is not real. And so the problem is, without having that unclear distinction, people will just make a philosophical adjustment within themselves and be like, no, it's just as real as the physical. It's not real in the same sense. It's real based on the effects. The effects are what's real, and they're only real in the physical.
Right. Well, this is where self-honesty is going to go to a whole nother level. Because like, when you're strapped into the metaverse, even if you're fucking lost in ultimate dopamine experience, deep fucking down, you're still strapped in. Now if it's a kid that's born into it basically, and from day one, that's all they ever knew. I mean, that's fucking tricky,
That's going to be really shitty for them.
Yeah, they wouldn't necessarily know, if you imagine this very high fidelity, like total simulation point, they wouldn't necessarily know that it's not real.
I mean, think
but
about like
they would
kids will see like somebody in a Mickey Mouse suit, and they're like, that's Mickey Mouse.
Right, because you will adapt to the environment you're in. And so we have a responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. But it will not prevent the consequence of, because you even have this consequence now of people beginning to wake up even in the physical reality and go and realize how much of our physical reality is a simulation, meaning how much of it is relationships and behavioral patterns and habits that are based on rules that we've created that are not best, which you feel forced into. So you always feel like you don't have a real purpose. And it's like in The Matrix when what is his real name? Is it Tom Anderson?
Yeah, something like that. Mr.
It's like,
Anderson.
I always think it was John Anderson, but I was like, someone's like, no, it's Tom or something. I was like, really? Whatever it is, it's like Anderson, right?
Yeah.
Neo, it's like he doesn't know what the Matrix is, but he has a feeling something's not right.
Yeah.
He has no clue. I mean, the way I interpreted it watching it is he has no clue what the Matrix is. He just knows something isn't right and he's searching for that. And that's that point within everybody. Even if you just go right into the metaverse and you're in there, you're still going to have that feeling. So even if you have children growing up in that, because the rules are not, look at who's running it. It's the same people who are, it's not just the same people, it's the same system that is consumerist, just entertain yourself. It's all about feelings. It's like catering to your feelings.
So I was just looking at the lyrics of that song that you were sharing, right? The Once in a Lifetime. Yeah. And it's really interesting actually. I really like the lyrics. It's like
it's a great song.
The main chorus is like letting the days go by, let the water hold me down, letting the days go by, water flowing underground. Into the blue again after the money's gone. Once in a lifetime, water flowing underground. That's like the main chorus, right? And it's all questioning like, okay, so how did I get here? Like, I'm just letting life pass me by. Like, I have a beautiful wife. I've got a nice car. I don't know where this road goes. Like all these things. Am I right? Am I wrong? It's like, but I'm just letting life go by and I'm here. And then I question maybe once in a little while, I'll question something, but I've literally just let my life go by. Right. And when was that song made? Like in the 80s or something?
Late 70s, 80s, something like that. Probably.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds about right. Like, okay, so people were experiencing back then, you know, and that point that you made of like, it's real, but if the server's gone, it's not real. And so none of that stuff is actually real. None of those images are actually real. It's kind of like money. Like money is real. We use it. But if you had $1 trillion, and nobody else was on the planet, it's not money anymore. It doesn't mean anything.
You know, and maybe that song is also about him getting some level of fame, you know, because Talking Heads was very popular like in the 80s. I'm assuming that's when that song came out. So maybe it was when they were, I don't know. Or maybe he was just projecting forward as an artist or something, or just looking at that whole point. I don't know if that's what the song's about, but it makes me think about that point of like, you're famous after the money's gone. Like what is this? Right. Or even just getting to the end of your life, the money is gone, meaning it's you can't take that with you kind of a thing. But also that point of like everyone being like a movie star in their own head, like everything being about the image of yourself. And so the money being the survival, like you've put all your life into surviving and working and doing that.
Yeah.
You're going to get to the end anyways. And then you're going to be like, what was the point of all of this?
Right.
And so that's kind of the point I'm getting at is that little point that's like something's not right, something about this isn't right, will always be there and it will only amplify. And I think the more that we are immersed in things that aren't real, the more it's going to amplify because you'll be even more subject to the mind. Yeah. And what's going to happen is it's like a weird feedback loop where the system is responding to the mind to give it the energy it wants. You know, it's like the whole thing with porn where people get addicted to porn and then they need like more extreme versions of it and stuff. So it gets to the point where it's just like insane, right? What they're watching. Same thing with entertainment.
Like watching octopuses.
Right. It's like it gets crazy because it's like you need that novelty, right?
Yeah.
So the system is going to respond, and in a lot of ways, that's kind of what's happening already because it's accelerating that mind point so we can all face it and be like, oh, this is the consequence. You know, look at politics. Mm-hmm. Look at what's happening in all of that and in the world. And it's like this movie playing out of all the ultimate doomsday scenarios, apocalyptic scenarios are like playing out in a movie fashion on social media for everybody to grasp onto. So how is the system going to keep that going, getting more and more and more, right? So the more we participate in things that aren't real and we want that energy. We need that. That's what we want. if you're entertaining yourself with a movie, you're saying to your mind, you're saying, I want that energy, I want that feeling. So how can you complain when reality, the system gives you that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing.
And it's literally just reflecting what it is that you want in an external reflection, because we're all doing that anyway. Because, oh man, it's just, I encourage people all the time to go listen to Equoff, you know, because, and I, it's funny because I needed to be encouraged for literally years to listen to it, because I'd listen to it and I'd be like, I couldn't understand it, you know, and I fancy myself as like more intelligent than the average person. I think a lot of people think that of themselves, but they're wrong. But I can objectively see that I'm correct, you know. It's funny because I'm listening to this stuff, and you know, back then I was just like, no clue what I'm listening to, no idea. And now it's everything that we're saying. This point of participating in your mind is literally distracting yourself from everything here. Oh, okay. I was on a call with Avery this past week, and he was talking about resistance. Is such a good call, right? And he was talking about like how we experience resistance, right? And I was just looking at this point of, you remember that story of the elephant at the circus, right? He's got a little rope around his leg, and it's like tied to a stake, right? And you know, you see the elephant, and you're like, can't that elephant just like, it's just a wooden stake that's been like kind of hammered into the ground a little bit. Like, can't the elephant just like take off like and just run and do whatever the hell he wants? And like, yes, but no, right? Because when that elephant was really little, it wasn't a little rope, it was a metal band around the leg tied to a really heavy chain and cemented into a concrete wall. And you know, the elephant would like literally pull for days. And I've actually watched videos of them doing this. If you see a video of this like little baby elephant being trained in this way, it is like struggling, it is trying, it is pulling, it is doing everything in its might. And then you see the moment where the that baby elephant becomes exhausted and just like basically collapses, right?
It's like putting a kid in school.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And then after that moment, it's like you don't need a lot of tension or a lot of resistance in order for that elephant to just give up. And so now you just can tie a little rope, put it to a stake in the ground. They feel that little bit of tension, they stop. And literally in Equoff, it describes resistance. The resistance that you feel is like, it's not even that much, actually. It's a small program, but it gets you to stop. And it's because, you know, you've been programmed from your own parents, from your environment, your school, etc. Like, but there's like every little thing that adds to this point of, oh, that's some resistance. You're supposed to stop here.
Some of it's even just genetic memory, where
That's
it's like imagine like the crucifixion of Jesus is a genetic memory. It's a program in there of like, well, if I go out and talk to this person today that's a stranger, like the background memory is like you're on the fucking crucifix, literally like being speared or something by like a Roman soldier or something. And so these little tiny things, yeah, that's a really cool point, because I look around and it's like all the points we have to go through, people allow such little tiny things, it feels big.
Yes.
And the other mistake is, as you walk this process, you would assume, everything just gets easier. And it's like, no, because it's like, imagine the adult elephant realizes, oh, you know what I just realized? That stake's not even fucking stuck in the ground. So it just like moves its foot and it's like, oh, fuck this. Well, obviously the owners are going to find out.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, all right, let's put a heavier stake.
Yeah.
So as you realize these points are limitations and you go through them, it's going to feel like more, it's like, oh, so that much resistance wasn't good enough. You know, it's like when our pigs get out of the fence, I have to reinforce the wire, the fencing.
Yeah.
So your mind is not going to just let you go. Your ego is not just going to let you go. Right? You have to be aware of that. And it's like your mind will try to use all kinds of evidence. Like, well, if what we're talking about is so great, why aren't there just millions of people already doing it? Let's just get a million people to do it. And it's like, no, it's not about getting a bunch of people to do it. It's about getting each person to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And then to share that with another person and to share that with another person. It's not about getting the result massively quickly, because that is not possible. It's like if you had the most nutritious mineralized bottled water in a glass bottle. Is like perfect, like so good, the perfect nutrition for everybody, and you figure out a way to just get everybody on the planet to buy it. Okay, but then you did that, cool, you made all this money, but then it just sits there, no one drinks it, because like you found some way to get them to buy it, but there was no, and maybe even when they taste it, they're like, ooh, this mineral content, something that's pretty strong, I don't like that. But they didn't understand, I had trace minerals to my water when I drink it, and I'm used to it now. Now it's like not a big deal. I'd have to add like 20 drops probably at one time into 8 ounces for me to like be like, oh, now I enjoy the taste of it, like of 10 drops in like an 8 ounce or whatever, right? So my point just being that it's about each person going, oh, okay, it makes sense, like why I should drink this, and it's about them taking it on. And so don't allow your mind to go, well, you need a result quick. And that's because what you'll end up doing is compromising everything to get that, instead of realizing, oh, I gotta take my time with this, I have to do it seriously, I have to take it seriously, and I have to support other people to take it seriously. That's why we do this podcast, and we haven't stopped, and we won't stop until we're done, right? I mean, what episode are we on now? I have no idea.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Around 150?
Are we
Something like that.
oh,
I think
150?
we're
I don't know.
150.
See God.
I don't even know, but
She would know if she were able to
it's
know.
about quantity over quality is what I'm saying. No, I'm kidding. Okay, you guys want to play some more stuff? We've been talking about
Yeah.
going off
Yeah,
on
yeah.
tangents here. Okay, so that's the Mark Zuckerberg business.
Wait, that wasn't a tangent. I was not done with that point. That
oh,
was,
go. Well,
that was
continue.
like, okay, I was just saying, we experience this resistance, and then what do we do inherently is you experience this resistance, you want a result, you see in your mind, I want to go do that thing. You see like, oh, you know what, this would be great for me to go do, right? And then you try to go do that, and you're like, oh, I got this heavy chain on me. That's what it feels like. You're prevented from doing that. You've got the resistance. And then when you give into the resistance, you feel bad. And your mind just wants you to feel like relief from that bad, like and so what happens? You get a movie that plays in your mind. You get like some distraction. You go into these thoughts. You like it. It's the same thing that you do like when you're scrolling on your phone, and you're just like, oh, you went to go do something, and then you're like, that didn't work out. Well, here's YouTube, here's Instagram, here's Facebook, here's whatever, and you just distract yourself. But if you were actually present here, real with reality, then you would get to the point where you're like, okay, that didn't work out. And instead of going into your mind, so I know easier said than done, but instead of going into your mind, you would say, well, I'm not just going to sit here and let that be the thing that, like, I can't do anything now, and I'm just going to continue my life in this way. It wouldn't make sense. You would look at it and go, okay, well, I'm just going to keep going until I corrected this thing. And then we would be all, if we were all present here, it would just make sense to direct reality for what's best. The only reason that doesn't happen is because we're allowing our mind to distract us, because that's what we do.
Have you guys seen in Equoff? There's some new interviews. There's one on the Fibonacci spiral.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. No.
It's really fascinating. It's basically, I mean, people just go listen to it, but there's like 2 types of Fibonacci patterns. And one is where it's like a Fibonacci of problems. So you just accept, it'd be like accepting the resistance, and it just gets harder and harder and harder and just more and more fucked. But then there's also a Fibonacci of change. And what's interesting is that they're basically explaining how throughout time, as we've shifted ourselves, and there are like cracks in the mind, that there's opportunities for the beingness to come through. So it kind of reminds me of like this metaverse thing is going to be like another crack where it just gets more fucking crazy. But there's a glimpse where then the beingness can come through, where you can actually see the fucking obviousness of like, whoa, this doesn't make sense. But then you
Because-
have to actually consistently do that to have the Fibonacci go.
The reason why it's an opportunity is because
You guys call it Fibonacci or Fibonacci? Like,
Do you
I have a
even tutor math,
Fibonacci-
bro?
I have a Fibonacci poop. It's just like a lot of fiber, right? And then it just like keeps like spiraling and growing and
oh,
growing.
I get it. I thought it was because you take one poop and you take another one and then you take two and then you take
Then
three,
four, and then
you take
eight.
five.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you
Oops.
get? Four.
This guy doesn't understand the sequence.
1, 1, 3, 5, 8.
I was
13.
There you
thinking
go.
though it's an opportunity because it's like when you're presented with something that's beyond what was available before, it creates the opportunity to then have it as a greater contrast. Meaning, presenting someone why you should change wasn't obvious until now. You have this opportunity to go further into this virtual reality, and it's like, hey, see, here's even more of an opportunity, a potential problem. You see, because the problem was, it's like, you see what I'm saying? If there's a big problem, it's easier than to be like, see, this is why we need to consider this now.
That's so
That'd be
cool.
more-
It's like Destiny is like the crack. It's like the cracks in the mind consciousness system, and then the Destiny message is like the beingness coming through.
Right. And so to get more and more people, sometimes it's not sometimes, the bigger the problem becomes, the more people are going to become aware. And that's why you need the people in the beginning to do it and to create more people so that then you can handle more people. It's not about going from
Exactly.
1 to a billion. It's about going from 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000.
Well, that's
Right.
so fascinating because that's literally yesterday we had this like festival, like fall festival at our house, which we're now, I don't even know how long we've lived here, 2 years or something. But it's like we've had like little events, and then it gets a little bigger and a little bigger. And sometimes from event to event, sometimes it's just like, it seems kind of like the same amount of people, whatever. Then like yesterday was a glimpse as to like we had a bunch of our neighbors, and like a lot of our neighbors who homeschool came over. And then a lot of people who are in our community are like inviting new people. So you're seeing glimpses of it. And I've been around long enough now. I haven't been around even that long, but it's like, I can just see how when you stay consistent with it, this is what it takes till you're at the point where you're like, oh, wow, we can actually start the political party. Or like, hey, we can actually, we are actually a force to be reckoned with in the giant, entire world system.
Wow.
It's that
Your-
consistency.
Your parties are following the Fibonacci sequence. Fibonacci.
Fibonacci.
Okay. All right.
Drake.
All right, let me load up the next thing. So here is let me get some context first. Tesla. I was talking to I mentioned this on this video I did the other day. I
Nicola?
was talking to no, not the Nikola version. I was talking to my
The
person cutting
counterfeit
hair,
one.
and I was asking her, I was like, do you know about Tesla, right? She's like, yeah. I said, how they make the electric car? She's like, yeah. I was like, they make robots? And she's like, no. Really? Right? And that's just the average person, right?
Yeah.
But if you go and listen to the shareholder meeting that they did a few months back, Elon Musk said this is the long-term profitability of Tesla is the robots. People think it's the cars, it's the robots, right? Because you have all these cars, they see the road, they see the obstacles. It's not like they're following a map per se. They're not like pre-programmed. And then they took those vision systems and the AI and all that, and they put it into the Optimus robot. People laughed at it, just like, when it first came out. But now the big theme I've seen is everyone going, whoa, they made a lot of progress really quickly. Because people compare it to the fact that they're comparing it to Boston Dynamics and being like, yeah, but it can't do backflips. It's like they've been doing it for 15, 10, whatever years.
Right.
And within a few months, people are like, wow, this Optimus thing from Tesla is already showing huge advances. And so I want to show like their little demo video they just released the other day.
That's
And then
so
we'll
interesting.
get some comments on it.
Harnessing the Qigong.
That's right. Sounds like some music pitch
there's a really cool part coming up here. Watch this. He puts it on its side. Oops. Watch it.
Wow.
Look at those hands.
Got a big hand. You know what that means?
Okay, it says namaste, right?
Oh, sorry. I have extreme dyslexia. I actually thought it said me, Satan.
Well, do you know what that music was?
No.
What was it?
When I first watched this a few days back or whatever, or last week or whatever, I'm like, dude, I've definitely heard that. And I'm like, no, they wouldn't use that music. But I looked it up to verify it.
Uh-huh.
Have you guys seen the movie Ex Machina?
Oh yeah.
It's about like this robot this guy builds. He invites this guy to come test it and see if he can figure out if it's actually real. Or I don't remember what was he testing?
It was a Turing test. But
Maybe the Turing test, right? And then the things look so realistic, its face, but you can see it's a robot. And then he starts to question if he's a robot. It's interacting with him, manipulating him so much that he starts to question, like, fuck, am I like actually a robot that they built and I'm getting fucked with right now? Like, it's crazy. And it manipulates him to let it out. And then at the end, it like goes around like it murders somebody, right? Like it stabs somebody, right?
Yeah.
That's the music they were playing is from that fucking movie.
Oh.
Okay.
I like how
Right.
the guy in there who was with him with the blocks had safety glasses on.
Right. But you see, like, it's kind of like a trolling, obviously. And then even just the fact that I'm talking about it's very good marketing. Right?
Yeah.
It's like they're literally going like playing the soundtrack of a movie about a murderous robot that becomes very lifelike. And they're showing how lifelike their robot is. I mean, it's like handling the objection up front.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was talking
Wow.
to somebody.
So anyways,
because
yeah.
I was meeting with some people this past week, and I was talking to someone about basically the Neuralink technology, and we were talking about that Zuby interview that Musk did, where Zuby's like asking him, like, so people are concerned that this is going to be something in their brain, and it's just going to give them thoughts. It's going to tell them what to do or whatever. And I was telling him how Elon Musk's response was just like, well, you'll see it coming. Like, it didn't handle the objection at all. It was more so just like,
Well, that wasn't the objection. That objection was it's going to be like everywhere. You're not going to have a choice.
yeah.
Mm.
Is that really what the objection was?
Yeah. He also brought up the other. I don't know if you brought up that point actually. I do remember them specifically saying, like, you're not going to have a choice. Like, you can't opt out of it because it's like the phone. You have to have a phone.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you'll see it coming. Like, it's not like it's just suddenly going to be like imposed on you tomorrow. Kind of like the phone, right? Like, some people got phones and then, eventually, but it still doesn't answer the point because it's really just a way of saying, yeah, for you, you'll see it coming. But for your children or grandchildren, they're going to have it. Like, just like you have the phone, like no one has a fucking choice, right? Like, you essentially have to have it in society, right? You don't have to per se, but you're not operating at the level of everybody else.
Yeah.
One other interesting thing too about that video we just watched is apparently this thing can learn from watching humans.
Yes.
So it's like you're not programming it to do a task. And the thing with the Atlas from Boston Dynamics that does the backflips, they program it to do all that. Like, it's a script that's running a program. This can watch somebody do something, and then it's learning like a child. It's mimicking. So it's more learning like a human being. Mm-hmm. And I was watching this interview I sent you guys where they were talking about, they just kind of mentioned it offhand. The guy was saying, imagine like, because you might think, who's going to buy one of these robots? It's going to be super expensive, right? But some people are saying that the target market initially is small companies that can't afford a $500,000 industrial robot. And they just need someone to, like this guy was talking about, he owned a injection molding business.
Yeah, plastics.
And they had some kind of like printer that would need to be reset every once in a while if there was like something went wrong.
It was Oh yeah, that he did say
You just need somebody to stand there and do it in case something went wrong. So just stand there and watch it. But you could get this robot to do that. Instead of paying this person $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month with benefits, you could just lease this robot. You don't have to even, and people are projecting at a low end, maybe these things will cost $20,000, but you could lease it on a subscription and it would be delivered by an automated vehicle in the morning to show up for work, drop it off like a van that drives around with a bunch of these to the different companies, drops it off, you lease it for a few hours or however long. And it's a human being, never gets bored, it never goes off or anything. And it can all, what you're already do something like that.
I feel like I've seen that in a movie. Maybe it was like iRobot, where they have like these vans.
Yeah,
where it's just like,
that's literally what they have. Yeah,
the doors open and then just like a whole bunch of robots just like jump off. That's great.
And so then, but now imagine at a certain, like, how much do you pay for a car?
Like a new car, or you're just saying like,
yeah, like
you're
20,
leasing a car?
30,000. Well, actually 30,000 is
30,
like
40, 50. You know, I'm saying more, even $80,000, right? Like a new Suburban. So think about that. Imagine you can lease it.
Yeah. So
why wouldn't people have these?
Right.
If you didn't have to pay for a car anymore because you're leasing that, or you're just getting your Uber thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So then they were saying, like, imagine there will be a person who owns one of these or is leasing one in a warehouse, and they're just sitting there training it to do different skills, like to play the violin or to make sushi. And then you have one in your home and you can download through an app store the sushi skill. And now you've got a sushi chef in your home. And you can download, like you would apps,
so
skills to your Optimus robot that someone else spent the time training. You don't have to do it.
Yeah. To give more context, it's like, okay, those other robots, the Atlas robots, were programmed to do the backflips and things like that. Somebody had to put a program in. Okay,
and like move the joint or somehow, I don't know how they're doing, maybe with like a modeling software or something. Yeah.
But the Optimus robots from Tesla are literally just like watching somebody do something, and then they're able to do that task. And then the other crazy thing about that is this guy that you were saying about the plastics company was saying, you know, he would hire people to sit there, watch the machine, make sure it doesn't break. They said, in order to have a machine that could do that for you, to make sure it's not breaking or whatever, or can reset the thing if it does like go off track or whatever. They said just to hire somebody to write the code for it would be $100,000, let alone building the actual machine itself, right? And now they've got a machine that could literally do that, and it would objectively do it better than the people that you hire, because first you've got to hire like 3 people for 3 different shifts, and this thing could do it and go round the clock and not have to stop. But also those kind of tasks are very monotonous, and it's really easy to get bored and not pay attention and make a mistake. Whereas this robot's
and also
not
like
do that.
We always talk about like people having to do shitty jobs that they don't want to do. Like it's going to be so obvious that people won't want to do that stuff if they don't have to.
Yeah, but they were saying like already the Optimus can do, like, if you had a screen printing business where you've got to take the shirt, put it on the like pattern thing, whatever.
You have like multiple colors you have to do and stuff.
Right. It's like already like there's about 6 tasks that need to be done in order to screen print a shirt. Already the Optimus can do 4 of those 6 tasks, right? And like it's already
just based on what they're seeing in that video,
right? And it's already improving more and more and more. It's able to do yoga poses that most adults can't do today, and it's really just like.
But also, you saw like the way it lifted its foot and the balancing. It looks like a human. The way it's physically.
Yes, and so it's gonna be really cool. And wasn't it like? Didn't we watch in one of the shareholder meetings, Elon Musk saying like it's going to be like at least 5 bots per person, right?
Yeah, in terms of exactly.
Yeah, and so I'm just thinking like you have your own little entourage, or you have your own little private.
It's not necessarily one person's going to have 5 bots.
That's true.
What they're saying is the just total quantity of bots that are robots that would be on the planet will be 5 to 1.
So somebody could have their own little army of robots, literally, and just like whoever can afford it, right?
Companies will have security that's their own robots. They'll have military forces. I mean, guys, read fucking Otherland, man. like, and even in that one, they didn't have robots. There wasn't really any robots in that, but remember like the main guy, Youngler or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And he had his own like this crazy skyscraper thing in the middle of Louisiana, and he
Yeah.
had like his own private army.
Yeah.
So imagine
Yeah,
Tesla. It's like for every one they sell, they make another one, and then they've got like this private army.
Dude. And now I'm just thinking as well, like, okay, you've got a private army. For sure, those questions are going to come up. Those like questions that Asimov posed of like, can a robot harm somebody? Those sorts of things, right? And in what case is it acceptable and not acceptable? And it's going to be really interesting seeing that play out, especially with people who are.
Yeah,
I don't.
But without trying to spoil it too much, like because people know the sort of the 3 laws of robotics, right? They know
Right.
that whole thing where it's like, you can't harm a
Right.
human being. They don't even know about the 0th law, okay? And they don't even know the whole picture of what Asimov was painting.
And
Right.
also, what I'm getting at is not many people can comprehend that at this stage. Like they're not able to do that, like working out of logic at this stage. They
The
don't.
vocabulary.
Exactly. I was telling somebody the other day.
When
I
you
was
have a
having
high vocabulary, you want to read.
Yeah.
Like reading is so effortless that you just anything that you see like it'd be cool to be a fly on the wall in my house at dinner time. It's like when the kids sit down for dinner, if there's not books on the table, they'll go and get books. And if there's a book laying around, they'll just pick it up and start spontaneously reading it.
It's so
That
funny
is so freaking cool.
because, like, reading is enjoyable. Everybody knows reading is enjoyable, actually, and I say everybody because, even if you don't like reading, I bet you'll read. Like, I bet a whole bunch of young women who don't like reading, will read through tons of texts of drama. Of just like, oh, he said this, she said that. Like because I've seen it. They'll read through that. And they'll be engulfed in it and they'll read like hundreds of messages all at once. And so it's just that the vocabulary set outside of that thing is too far beyond what they can comprehend, actually.
This morning, Max starts describing to me and Katie in the kitchen like this complex scenario in chess where there's like a queen sacrifice and then how it ends up going.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, so I know, he goes, when that scenario happens, he's like, I know not to take the sacrifice, not to do the trade or whatever the point was.
Yeah.
And he had read it in one of these like in-game courses or one of these chess books. And he was like describing the whole scenario. He was like telling us, so I know whenever I see that, I'm not gonna. So having the ability to read effectively, you can learn a lot. It's the way in which you can learn from other people. It's like the Tesla bot watching people learning, but it's so obvious. Everyone should know the value of reading, and yet it's not applied because people can't read because they were taught through, dare I say it, phonics.
Oh.
I had to say it, or whatever the method was. Right? They really can't read, right? Because like you said, when they go outside the vocabulary, it's just not happening.
So I was talking to someone recently, and it was a funny conversation that we were having because I was describing to them like, hey, do these things. And they were saying, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm like, okay, well, listen, I can't give you the solution. This is your life. They said they wanted to change some things in their life. And I'm like, okay, I can help with that. What are the things you want to change? And they're like, I don't know. Okay, well, let's look at another way of looking at it. And we looked at, a few different ways of how to tackle this problem of what is it in their life, becoming aware of what is it in their life that they want to change. That's not something I can come up with. I can't tell you what you want to change in your life, right? But they couldn't see it. And so I said, well, okay, you're not understanding what I'm saying. You need to build your vocabulary to understand what I'm saying, right? And it was so interesting because to me, it's really obvious. And it is funny because I was talking with my mom about this as well. And my mom was like, oh, no. She was saying, in the past, I was trying to think like, how have I changed? How have I grown? What's different about me? And, I was really questioning all these things, right? But then I was having this conversation with someone and they were asking me for advice. And in the past, I would have just given them advice, but I realized they can't even understand me. They can't even understand their own problem. And I can. And I realized like, oh, I wasn't like this a couple years ago. Like I can see the change because I've built my vocabulary, which is literally building your understanding. Right. And so it's like, to me, I guess what I'm saying is it's become so obvious that the only way to change is if you understand more. I think everybody would agree with that. The only way that your life is going to change is if you can actually understand what's going on and you understand more than what you currently understand.
Which also includes it's like it's not just understanding new things, it's re-understanding things you thought you knew. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And people miss that. I
I'm glad
think
you had
also it's like it's not just about learning a new word that's like fancy.
Yeah.
Or a new, like you learn chess vocabulary or programming. It's also about the ABCs and it's about the basic words that you think you know, but there's all these programs attached to these words because when you learn them, because you are physical, I mean, the same way that a Tesla robot learns how to do the yoga pose by watching somebody, that's how you learned your vocabulary.
Yeah.
You learned it by watching somebody else use the words.
Yeah.
Or live the words. Not even necessarily using, but like, let's say you had a parent come inside after a long day and they were, frustrated and being short with everyone. It's like you're hearing both the words they're using, but you're also seeing their whole expression and how that's coming through. So there's like a deeper layer of everything, which is also words. It's also vocabulary.
Yeah. And then also like whatever you've perceived as, oh, they just came home from work. And so like now you're like work is associated with being short, being frustrated, like, all that stuff. Yeah. Or they just came home from visiting with grandma. And like, so like relationships, like grandma is she
relatives,
makes my dad this.
Right.
Exactly.
Or even the fact that they came home and did have some sort of emotional outburst is like, it's like that's even another deeper layer, right? Of the fact that you can't just process it real time, forgive yourself, come back, and then just be here.
Look at how, because you guys both, you guys both have young children now.
Yeah.
And so look at how much better prepared you are to support them with awareness within those points versus if you had not ever started this process.
It's
not just like somebody, I saw this post that Rebecca had made, and it was something about having a high vocabulary leads to a high IQ or whatever. And somebody was like, well, it's more likely that having a high vocabulary is associated with having a high IQ, like meaning
that is a correlation,
obvious,
or it's
but their implication being you have a high IQ and that's what allows you to get a high vocabulary.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, because look, the perfect example is just what I was just saying. You guys increased your IQ by changing your understanding, adding new things to your vocabulary. You've become smarter as parents, and that'll show over time. It'll show, because I know there's gonna be these idiots out there like, well, you'll see when they're done. Fuck that. Like, it'll show over time, because I can see your starting point, right? And you can see how you've made certain adjustments or certain considerations that people won't do because they don't understand. Yeah. They'll just be like, no, sir, we don't climb up there. No, you don't climb up high on things. Okay, well, you just programmed your kid to have a fear of climbing up high on things, or to have a desire to climb up high on things. Unnecessary, like you don't realize the consequences of what you're doing just by just that little thing.
It's funny because I've been talking to parents and just like kind of sharing the vision. Well, not kind of sharing the vision of just, hey, listen, your child can be really intelligent now, and here's what's possible, because I can clearly see people don't even know what's possible, right? So just sharing with them what's possible, and then also sharing with them, now imagine this for yourself, right? You're super intelligent to the level where you're 7 years old and you're more intelligent than most adults, right? Like objectively. And by the time you become 18 years old, you're going to have an entire network of other children who are about your age, who are just as capable as you are, more intelligent than anyone else on the planet. What would you be capable of? Right? How would that be like? Wouldn't you want that in your life? Like it's the thing that everyone's always like, oh, you know, if I was part of this club, if I was part of the Illuminati or the Freemasons or whatever, right? Like if I was a part of that, you always infer that, oh, I would get that benefit, right? Okay, what if you were the actual, like, you're valuable to this group because you're effective, and everyone else is just as valuable in that group? That is what we have. That is what we're giving, and we've already created, right?
It's like an organism. It's like that's the next level of all this too, is all of us then working together even more effectively. It's like each of us being an individual intelligent node in the network. But then it's also like this emergent property that's coming from it. I mean, I've witnessed it already, right? Just the power of the group and everything. But I know we've also just scratched the surface of that.
Yeah. The thing that I wanted to add in there is now, okay. Now, obviously, what we have is making kids super intelligent, right? Don't you think they'll be even more intelligent if you, as the parent, are improving your own intelligence, improving your own understanding, and starting before you even have kids? Like, how much even more of a difference does that make? And that's really like that's what we've done. You know, like the first time that that we met you, Mitch, in Denver, that was what Cam said. I remember I was there. Like, you're like, how do you do that? Pointing at Max, right? Like, that's pretty cool. How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And Cam's like, do you have kids? And you're like, no. Do you want them? Yeah. It starts now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's legit.
I'm reading this book right there called Ring World. It's super good.
Ringworm?
Ring World. It's a world where everyone has ringworm.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
No,
I'm down.
Without going into the whole plot of it, it's not really relevant to what I was going to say. There's a character where there's like an alien race. There's several of them, but one of them, they've messed with the breeding cycles of humans and influenced things like in a way where they were able to produce people who are very lucky. Okay. And which it's like a psychic phenomenon, and like literally just lucky. Like, so there's this character who's in this team of people that are going to this place with aliens and humans. And like, there's this one scene where they're on these like things called fly cycles. They're kind of like motorcycles that can fly very fast, like in the air. And there's a scene where something happens and she loses consciousness and her face falls forward and it hits just the right thing on the control panel to like make it so she doesn't die when the thing crashes or whatever. And it's just an example of her luck. Like, she has all these things where she never gets hurt. Like, she always is like lucky. And in a lot of the times, because the other people are in the team with her, her luck helps them as well. Because like, if they're all on the ship, it can't crash and they all died necessarily, you know, it can't just explode. But sometimes the luck doesn't protect them because like they're not with her or whatever. So they'll go through some really shitty thing and she's like not there. And it's like, they're kind of on their own in a sense. And it made me think of that because when you were talking about the kids, I'm like, how do you get this across to people? It's like, it's not that your kids can't be smart if you don't do it. But it's like, do you also imagine like the child, like in that scenario, she could somehow give her luck ability to everybody else.
Yeah.
So like, how much better would the whole team be?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, if you're with your kids and you're also intelligent, like, because the scary part about your kids being super intelligent is what?
They're more intelligent than you.
They're smarter than you. It's the same reason everyone's scared about the robots.
Yeah.
Scared about the AI. It's like, oh, it's going to be smarter than us. So we say smart kids, smartphones and smart kids and smart parents. Right? And that's why we talk about purpose. We talk about principles, because if you're just going to work every day and you're just doing your thing and you go to holidays and all that, and that's the whole purpose of your life, how do you instill within your kids a higher purpose within themselves? because you're not living that. Like Mitch was saying, you're not living that word higher purpose. Really, what's best for all. You guys want to move on to the next little?
Let's do it.
So here we have the new Dolly 3.
Woo! I
I'll
love
just play
it.
this quick little
So
video.
cute.
Y'all can hear it typing.
Yep.
Look what it says on the bottom right.
Super duper sunflower.
It
Wow,
can
they
do
actually got
text
the,
now.
the
Yeah.
writing. Wow.
The hedgehog doesn't have 8 fingers.
Look, how does the AI know? Okay, his name is Larry, so I'll put Larry on a mailbox because that would have his name.
That is insane.
So let me show. Well, actually, I'll go back to it in a minute. But
That's crazy.
so now they're integrating the image generator into ChatGPT, where you can have a dialogue back and forth, and it remembers what you talked about.
Dude, why would I ever need to buy another kids book again?
Kids book. And now imagine when this gets integrated with video. And I must show one more thing real quick. You see how
I
it made
could-
those stickers?
Yeah, and then you can like
Go
print
back.
those off and have them around your house.
Well, it leads me to the whole thing with Meta,
Oh, right.
Right.
That's great.
because they did an announcement recently, just a few days back, I guess, or last week. And they're adding their generative AI into Messenger, Instagram, all of the Meta products.
yeah, you can
WhatsApp.
apply. You can apply for it when you open Facebook Messenger next.
So like they were saying, you know how when you send someone a sticker,
Yeah.
right? They were saying you can
Mhm.
generate a unique one on the fly with the generative AI, which is
and you
kind of
can do like
interesting.
pictures and stuff too. So it looks like Mid-Journey esque in there.
My question is, how did they come up with the same sticker idea? As in both Dolly
Well, I don't think that.
and Meta both showcased a hedgehog.
Wait, where was
Meta? No, I
Meta
don't
doing a
think so.
hedgehog?
Yeah, Meta did a hedgehog too.
When?
Really?
In that speech that Zuckerberg gave, he's like a hedgehog on a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Like
The hedgehog concept. They all read Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah, something about the hedgehogs.
that's it. Sonic. Super fast. That's what it is.
If Sonic were smart, Sonic drive-through, they'd jump on this.
They'd
They'd be like, we now have AI generated slushies.
There's that AI generated
hot
Coke.
dogs.
Did anyone try that yet?
I
AI
don't drink
generated
that.
what? Coke?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
Coca-Cola apparently, or maybe Pepsi has an AI generated flavor.
What is that? It's like it tastes like
I'm gonna get some for us at
Tastes like a
Jefferson.
computer.
We're gonna drink it
you're gonna get some at Jefferson. Where are you gonna get it from? Jefferson.
on the way down.
They don't even
from
have
Dallas.
computers in the town I live in.
Okay, Dallas. I'm gonna get it in Dallas. I'm gonna bring it, and it will come with ice, so it'll be cold, and we'll enjoy
Jefferson
it.
does, they
computer
haven't even caught on
tasted-
to
a
freaking
comp-
microwaves over there.
We
Yeah,
still
their
have
haircuts
steamboats
still
and
cost
shit.
$5.
So, okay. Also, Meta announced that they're going to be putting AI into everything where Chat GPT type AI,
Yeah.
where you're in a group chat, let's say with people, and you can talk to the AI as well. Like it's a member of your fucking. So they're already putting that into like the video. You know, like we talked about with it. It's like you're at a conference or at a meeting and you have an AI there. They're already introducing that into everyone's
Yeah.
mindset of having the AI there.
Yeah,
So
Big
you
brother.
can look up all the stuff there. I want to show you guys because you made this joke about the hedgehog having 8 fingers.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just in the past, everyone was like, "Oh, the AI is not that good." It's when you like tried to make accurate pictures of people, the hands would look funny and shit.
Look at that lace. You forgot the Owen photo. Unless you're
think
trying to
so.
go for
No,
photorealistic.
Oh,
So we'll let it do that.
Okay.
But I want to show you
well,
something real quick. Check this out.
Okay.
I generated these. I had like one of them, and I had it generate subtle variations, and it looks like they're all the same, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then here's a different design. They look all the same, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you something real quick.
Jeez.
Hold on. I want you to see the subtle differences. This is just a variation on the
That's
two.
what the hell? That looks amazing.
And it looks like it's a real actual like woodcut, like with like a
Mhm.
borders,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
That's
Oh wow.
ridiculous.
That's
Let
insane.
me show you the other ones.
That is ridiculous.
Because when I first looked at it, I'm like, it barely changed anything, but no, it actually changed things. I mean, yes, it is
Yeah,
subtle,
yeah.
but
That
it's
is
like a look at this.
So crazy.
So you can actually be a real artist with this now.
Look at that.
You know, and not that you couldn't before, but like now you can clearly say, I want this changed. And really
look at the
direct it.
look at the lighting on the edge.
Yeah.
And the shadow underneath. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's like that's just ones and zeros to a computer.
That's crazy. That's crazy because it's almost like it's a one of one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like you have this design, but it's always going to be slightly different. It's as if it's made by a real human hand. That's crazy.
Mhm.
And all I did was just
This one was
click
made
and
by a
put-
Russian hacker.
All I did was click very subtle. Let's vary it strong and see what happens.
Very region.
Actually, I'm gonna vary it and put, where was it? No color. I'm gonna put neon just to see what happens on one of them. Okay, let's check out the hands. See what they did.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that one's got too many fingers.
Some of them are wrong, right?
Yeah.
But look, this one on the
Yeah.
right, bottom right.
That's a good
And there's obviously, I'm sure you can find
that
some
one
flaws.
on the top right looks ugly.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Looks
can
like
find
a-
flaws.
older man's hand. That man is in his high 50s.
Why are these wrinkly?
These are still. This one's done.
I don't think that one has the neon in it though, does it?
I don't think I did the neon on that one. Yeah.
Doesn't say neon.
Where is it? This one. It might be the
Oh,
way because I copied
yeah.
somebody else's prompt, so it might be. Look, they did a circular one on this one. Man, look at the.
Jeez.
Look at that.
Yeah, because it says black and white in it, Mitch.
Yeah,
And it also-
I didn't really.
Wow. That is crazy.
that's cool looking.
Cameron, why even do wood carving? You can just fucking do this.
Mid Journey. I want to show you the. No, Mid Journey
Alright.
Showcase because I looked at the new ones. Sorry, I'm trying to type up very high here. Here's what's going on new in Mid Journey.
Ooh, that's cool.
Dang.
An elephant in a refrigerator. That's funny.
I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's like ultra novelty.
Look at that.
Wow.
I mean,
This is just ridiculous.
and it's like someone's like, oh, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, look, this picture was made with. Oh, I must not be logged in anymore because it's not letting me copy the. Look, they're just
Wow, yeah.
describe. Look, that's all that was written in this one. A female wizard, blue and black clothes, detailed fantasy character concept.
That's cool.
Look at that.
The eyes, yeah.
Look at that thing. I mean, these are all literally just someone wrote this, and then the AI gives you this information.
Christina had sent me a message or an app called Photo App AI, right? And let me see if I can share it real quick. Let me just open into it. Yeah, she sent this to me on Instagram. And let me see if this opens it. You guys can see this?
Yeah.
I asked AI to create a
Wow.
business photo of me. She looks like she's at a party, like, you know, out, whatever. and then it
Wow.
created this. That looks so legit. Like,
That is ridiculous.
yeah,
Wow,
right.
we should do it with us.
This guy's no. But like, and Christine just sent me like, bye photographers, right? It's
I mean, especially for
interesting.
something like that, I just need a profile pic.
Right.
I don't need to pay $1,000 for a fucking photographer.
Right. Like you would literally pay like at least $100 or something to get that photo. And now it's like, oh, I could do that for like $5 or maybe even free.
And the whole point of the photographer is they make it look better than real. So when you're standing out there, you don't see what you see on the picture. You see it looks way better in the photo that they take. That's the idea of having a photographer.
Yeah, and they're doing all this work and like Photoshop and all this stuff, right? Like, nope, don't need that.
They're making it not real anyways. I mean, I'm just saying what people are going for. So why not just have the AI do it?
Right.
So the idea that it's not going to displace jobs, and then the question is, what jobs is it going to create? Oh, well, the person who's doing this, that's an app.
That's an app.
That's like you can do it yourself.
You put in the prompt and it already does it, you know?
Like if I want to imagine a Van Gogh painting that's Cubist style with, all this other stuff, like I'm going to go hire a fucking artist to do that. If I just want a print that I can frame, like I could literally just do that in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then print it out.
And it was interesting as well when Zuckerberg was showing the picture of himself as a kid, and then it was literally just
they were changing like his shirt.
Outfit.
Yeah,
that was it. And he was like, "Oh, this is me as a cowboy. This is me as," and it's literally just changing his shirt. And I'm like, that's really cool actually, because it's just such a subtle difference, where, oh, dude. Okay, do you remember learning about the communist revolution, like in Russia, with Stalin and I forget all the other guys' names. Right?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Lenin,
yeah, and whoever else, Trotsky, all these guys, right? When they were teaching about this, there was one particular point that really stood out in my mind, and I think it was the main point of this like part of the study, was that whoever the new person was that came into power would Photoshop the photos. And so this was a new concept back then.
Yeah, there's a famous one of where Stalin, they had a guy like taken out of the picture and you can't tell, like, I don't know how they did it. But,
so like Trotsky's taken out or Lenin's taken out or whoever it is.
Because they weren't popular. They weren't like in favor anymore. Or whatever.
And so literally all they did in that photo was like, I think they just put a block over him and like extended the stage, made it look like the stage was, longer than it actually was, and it covered that person, right? And so it was just, it was always just Stalin. It was always just Stalin. No one else was always, that other guy, he's such a hater, he didn't even show up to this thing, right? Okay, so supposedly that was propaganda that really affected the masses, and I agree. I don't doubt it, is what I'm saying, right? There's a reason why they did it. Like, why else would you doctor a photo like that, right? We can do that today in a matter of seconds with literally anything. And it looks so fucking real, you would not be able to tell. You would not, you're looking at it with your eye. Like, imagine the effect. Okay, if that had an effect on the people back then to go, oh yeah, fuck that other guy. Like, we're done with him. Imagine the effect that can have on an individual today, especially when it comes to like the way that we understand news and media today. And I don't mean us in particular, but I mean just our society in general is just this like quick hit, got something, and then we're moving on. And oh wait, was it that the detail? Oh, I thought it was like this. Oh, the news said this, but nobody verified it or whatever, or they said anonymous sources. It doesn't even matter, right? It's
the 1984 thing on total steroids. Like
it is.
I mean, they had to like get the old clipping, they had to pick a new one, they had to print the new one. Now it's just gone. It's because everyone's focused on the digital reality is real. And they're using the digital as the evidence of the physical.
It's 1984. It's Animal Farm. It's Brave New World, all rolled into one. Because with with like 1984 and Animal Farm, it's a top-down approach of just like they have all this power. But then with Brave New World, it was like nobody gives a fuck. Nobody has.
Yeah, everyone's happy with it. They're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I love it. I get my Soma and then go talk to an alpha
Exactly.
or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. That's where we're at. It's like, holy shit, we got to wake up, right? And of course, people are waking up to it. There are those people who are like seeing this doesn't work, but they don't know what the solution is. And man, this is so beautiful because I'm just looking at the point of like who I was. I was one of those people that was like, this isn't right. But I didn't know where to go. I was searching. I was looking. Like that's how I found first spirituality and then Jin. And then it was just like, oh, okay. So here's somebody who's talking about how messed up everything is. And it seemed like they were interested in changing that. And then getting around other people who also had that same sentiment, right? But what's funny is I'm realizing now it's becoming really popular. This growing idea within people's minds of things are messed up. We want things to change. I was just meeting with like a whole bunch of business people that they're sharing how like school doesn't prepare you for entrepreneurship. And one of them even said, get this, while I was there, I heard this. Because there's a lot of people there that are like in what they call the 2 comma club, right? Meaning like millions, right? And they're like, if you're making $100,000 a year, how long will it take you to get to 20 million? Right? And it's so funny because like if you actually do the math, you take out your calculator, do 20 million divided by 100,000 per year, it's going to take you 200 years.
You need a calculator for that.
A lot of people do, Cam. A lot of people do. But what I'm saying is they're looking at that like people who are actually making money are looking at that like, dude, you got tricked into thinking $100,000 is a lot of money.
Right. And I
You got
remember
tricked
growing
into
up
that's comfortable.
thinking 100,000, if you make 100,000, you're special, you're cool. Like, where did that thought come from? Probably some of my parents said, why did they say it? It's
Right.
like a perception in society. It's a program.
Right. But that's nothing. That's
And imagine you get
small.
everyone imagining that's the top. You can make sure no one ever challenges anything.
Right.
And I mean, I just want to say this real quick, just based on everything we talked about so far, just to make sure it's clear. Can you guys agree with me like that the literal matrix is being built in front of our fucking eyes?
Yeah.
The
Like-
actual literal fucking matrix.
And it's capable of doing all the things that
And-
you're like,
and-
I don't want to happen.
And none of the people who are like building it, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, or even the people interviewing like Lex Friedman, no one's like, are we building the matrix? Or this could be kind of like the matrix, but like they're just kind of like, it's like imagine the people building the atomic bomb and they're like, yeah, we're just making something. And you're like, aren't you kind of like making like probably the worst thing ever? Huh? Like they're not even talking about, like everyone else is talking about it, but not the people doing it. Like, doesn't that make you wonder, like, what the fuck? Of course, they probably read all the sci-fi.
Of
They were
course,
just like, oh, that's a good idea.
they're the marketing piece of the system. That's
You
it.
go to like their meetings, like their engineering meetings, and it's like they have all these like Asimov books, like with bookmarks and everything. Like, oh, go grab. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, we forgot to do this, guys. Okay, let's do that.
I get it. No, hold on. I get it. They used a hedgehog because hedgehogs are cute. They're cute little fucks.
They are cute,
Yeah.
even real ones. Yeah,
Yeah. And so it's like, oh, look, you can create these little stickers with a hedgehog.
But they
Every
have-
story that you can create. And like, it's like, it gets you like, oh, that's so adorable. Meanwhile, it's like the fucking killing machine, the literal killing machine. And you're like, it's so adorable.
but if you try to fuck with it, it'll roll up in a spiky ball,
Yes,
and you won't be able to mess with it.
exactly.
So
Exactly. So just enjoy it. Enjoy it while it's cute. All right. Yeah. It's I mean, it's obvious, right? Like we opened up talking about like how, yeah, okay, if you've listened to this podcast before, you're like, oh, maybe these guys are paranoid about the fucking metaverse. It's gonna get your kids or whatever. But I mean, all right.
We've been talking
You know,
about it
the-
since we started the podcast.
I know.
Like,
do you know
It's just
there's,
become more and more obvious, right?
there's Disney movies, right? There's Disney movies. Okay. Wait, when you were a kid, Disney movies were really popular, right? But I would say just the generation before us, it wasn't like Disney movies weren't like really a thing. Like maybe they had like one or two, but they weren't like I don't know, when did Snow White come out? That was probably like one of the first ones,
It's pretty old, I think. But
Yeah.
I know I see your point. Yeah.
right? And you didn't think of it like okay, I know my mother's generation, she didn't go to fucking Disney as a child. Like she wasn't interested in like all that stuff.
It's like the Superman movies before Marvel movies became like a thing, and now it's like a thing versus before
Yeah.
it was like every once in a while, oh, cool, a Superman movie or something.
Right.
You know, or a Batman movie. Now it's like everything.
Right.
It's like a thing. Yeah.
Now it's like every fucking little adult our age has like a Disney like fucking tattoo and a Harry Potter tattoo, and it's like Harry Potter, Disney. It's like,
Dude, I took Max to Half Price the other day because we had to go to another town, and we were looking at the game section for like chess books, and like it's next to like all the manga and anime shit, and there's like this guy who must have been 45, like in there, like they flipping through all the manga stuff, and I'm just like, fuck. Man.
you're screwed. You know what's funny? Okay, so I was definitely into that stuff, like not necessarily manga, because I like cartoons.
But when you're okay, but I'm not excusing it, but let's say you're 17 or something
Yeah.
versus like you're 40 fucking 5 and you clearly have no kids
that's what
or
I'm
a
saying.
wife
Though.
or anything.
That's what I'm saying though.
Fuck.
Is like
Yeah.
I was into that stuff, and still like if I see a cartoon, I'm like interested. I like it kind of piques my interest to the point where like I want to look at it, but then I'm also like I'm a fucking adult and I got things to do in my life, and I can't spend all my time just like going into cartoons
Right.
for entertainment because I have a bigger purpose in life, you know? And so it's I get it. I get the appeal of this stuff, but at the same time, it's like, okay, the point that I'm making is look at how popular all that shit has become. How fucking popular.
It's like, but that's just what I like. And it's like, but why do you like it? And what's the purpose? What value does it create for you other than it's just stimulating a memory that you have of something that's like with our kids, we explain to them, here's why we don't do Disney.
Mhm.
Because like Seneca will go out and she'll see like the Disney princesses and it's designed to draw on that programming. So she's like asking us things and we'll talk about it. We have to explain like why we're not going to watch Disney movies because she'll want to watch them because she's impulse when we go out somewhere or whatever. It's not that she's like begging us to watch the movie. It's just like the curiosity is there.
Right.
And we explain to them like, there's so much more that's impulsed. Plus, they're just trying to get you focused on it now so that you'll always stay with you. So you'll want that more when you're older.
Dude, it's the same thing like McDonald's. Literally the
Right.
same thing like McDonald's, where it's like, I know people today where they know McDonald's isn't good for you, shouldn't eat it. And still, it's like they see McDonald's, they're like, McRib is back. I should go get that.
I used to do that, like
I never
20
ate a
years
McRib.
ago.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
You never had a McRib?
You know why?
No.
That's why you're not immune to the poison ivy. The McRibs, I think it's like a nano sort of technology that makes you
Let me tell you
mRNA.
something, Mitch. Let me tell you something,
Yeah.
Mitch. It's so funny because I would
McDonald's
see the,
RNA.
I would see the McRib, right? I've tasted the McRib a couple of times.
Ugh.
It is disgusting. Absolutely.
I remember seeing
disgusting.
one.
I would get like what is it, indigestion or something?
Yeah.
Like,
I would taste it and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, who is buying this shit? And
they're
then,
like, it's all the buttholes left over from the pigs we slaughter. What was the problem? Allegedly.
allegedly, right? And then I realized there are people that actually like it. They actually fucking enjoy this shit. I'm like, what? I thought, see, the way I looked at the McRib is like, it's on the menu as a seasonal thing because everybody fucking hates it. right? And then you
Mhm.
forget that you hate it, and then it's like it's back, and then you go buy it,
Okay.
and you're like,
You remember
"Ah."
the Shamrock Shakes? Those
Oh, yeah.
ones I enjoyed those, but also do you ever hear about the thing called the McGangbang?
Yes.
Did
Yeah.
you ever do this,
What?
Cameron?
Cam's,
No, I don't know about the
Cam's face,
McGangbang.
his eyes.
If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a Big Mac and a McChicken, and then you
and
you
you
like
take out the
stack them into
buns,
each other.
and you put
Yeah.
the chicken in the place of the buns.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get like 2 McChickens and a Big Mac, and like your buns are the chicken, and it's like
It's too much meat.
it's a lot. That's why it's a McGangbang.
See, it's people
something
like you that
do.
are fucking pissing off the World Economic Forum, so they want to take all our meat away. I mean, you guys are just overdoing it. Okay.
Hey, speaking of that,
Now I feel like should be limits to how much meat.
we're eating biscuits and gravy right now.
Wait till you get the
Oh,
McCricket.
Nice. Oh no. No, nobody wants a McCricket.
No, this is better.
I'm so looking forward to like eating at Texas. I don't know what's all going to be on the menu.
Obviously, you don't. It's a
I'm looking forward.
surprise. It's a Texas-sized surprise.
Texas size surprise. That's pretty big. Texas is pretty big. Texas is bigger than all the countries in Europe. Just each individual country in Europe.
It's also better than all the countries in Europe.
Well, that's obvious.
I agree with that.
All right. Any other thing else we want to talk about today?
I don't know. What else is there to bring up?
I covered all the points I wanted to cover.
Okay. There was that those guys talking about the AI.
Oh, hang on.
Hmm?
So earlier we were talking about how it's like 1984 mixed with Animal Farm mixed with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then some people, the noobs, will be like, well, can it be like, something more, like they'll look for a reference in the system of a time where then everyone stepped up and made it, work out, like Star Wars or something, right? I don't even know if Star Wars has a happy ending. I don't even fucking know.
Well, no,
But-
because it went all fucking woke.
Right. And so it's like this system has not been programmed for what's best for all. And so there's no solution that's going to come from the system as
Right.
is. The solution is going to come from the principles, what we talk about. So it's cool. It's like don't depend on there being a story of like, oh, yeah, it's just like in Star Wars or The Matrix when they figure it out and everyone wakes up. It's like, no, actually, this is the fucking story right here of us all figuring it out. So the podcast.
In the
is,
Matrix,
let's
they had to
this.
make another one that was like, oh no, actually everyone was still asleep. It's like
And it just impulse people with stupid love bullshit.
actually the
Like,
Matrix was actually a virtual reality inside the Matrix, and actually it's still you're trapped.
They're like, yeah, and then Neo and Trinity had to be close enough to each other to like generate the feelings. Didn't you see that?
No, I didn't. I don't know why you even.
It's
wanted to
fucking
watch it.
stupid.
Neo,
I wanted to
Trinity,
see what
1
they're
and
gonna
3,
impulse
3
people.
and 1.
Trinity.
Gangbang.
I just realized the 1 and the 3 reference.
Yeah. It's all church stuff. I used to think that song, that Once in a Lifetime song, was a church song. I thought it was.
Morpheus's name is literally means change.
Oh yeah, morph. Yeah. Change 3 into 1 and 1 into 3. That's it.
Ooh.
Morph us.
Morph all of us. We all need to morph, guys. You need
Morph
to
time. Hey, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Let's get Mighty Endorphin Power Rangers more like.
I was obsessed with that shit when I was a kid.
I think everybody was.
I liked it, but for some reason I didn't get obsessed with Power Rangers. I don't know why.
I was Red Ranger all the way. All the way. I even had
Not the
fucking-
Black Ranger, Drake.
Dude, that's racist. Come on. Why wouldn't I want to be the leader? Hello.
Why would that be racist?
Because
Wow, Drake.
I'm red.
You had to bring
I'm
it into
Indian?
race.
Hello. I'm native.
If they want to be clear, yeah, they should have called it the Native American Ranger.
And they should have called her Asian Ranger instead of yellow. No, that was fun. No. Yeah, so if you guys want change, you can't let it be same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
Change doesn't come once in a lifetime.
Yeah. As the days go by. Don't let the days go by. Right? Anyway, I think that's good. You guys want to wrap it?
That's great.
See y'all later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. My wife's not at the wheel. She's
I like to just sit here and stare until the recording stops.
yeah, she's not
Just
paying
sitting
attention.
here.
Christine?
See you, God.
I
Wife?
keep talking.
Machado.
We
My
can just end the
shadow.
meeting. I think that'll work.
What?
Where you just end it. Are you host?
Oh, I could just stop the recording actually. Can't I? Stop recording. No, I can't actually. Oh wait, hang on.
You could just go in the other room.